Top 5 mistakes buyers in their 30s make in their first condo purchase. So to give you guys a bit of context for this video, these are the 5 mistakes. Number 1, you do not know exactly how much finances you need for your property purchase. So if you do not know your finances, typically what's going to happen? You're going to place a deposit for the unit, and then eventually you're going to find out halfway through, I cannot afford this unit. You're going to lose your deposit. Watch on to find out exactly what you need to know for your next purchase. Number 2, buying an underperforming property. So what I always share with my clients is that if you want to continuously upgrade your properties and use your property to work harder for you, we always need to find a performing property. You don't want to be losing money in your next property purchase, do you? So what I'm going to share with everyone is how do you actually, what kind of properties might make money, what kind of properties might not make money, and then from there you can get a better idea. Number 3, not having a 10 to 15 year property plan. So what I always share with my clients is that at the end of the day, you might have that goal in mind in terms of your property. It could be maybe I want to stay in a landed property, or it could be I want to have multiple properties. In whichever plan it is, you always have to have a very well thought out plan such that you know every single step of the way what are you going to be doing with your property. Are you going to be swapping it out? Are you going to be swapping your rental unit out to a bigger property? Are you going to be swapping your own stay property out to a bigger property such that you can make more money? So all in all, you need a very tailored plan. If not, you will not be able to hit the eventual goal of number of properties or total value of your property that you actually want at the end of your property journey, or maybe just before you retire. Number 4, buying with a friend. So a lot of times we think, I cannot afford such a big property now. So maybe I'll get my friend in, we'll buy together. However, time and time again, I've seen this relationship turn sour. So later I'll share with you a couple of stories, and then you'll get a better idea as to whether you should or whether you shouldn't share with your friend. Number 5, going into the market blind. Number 1 thing that I always share with clients is that we always need to know what the market is, what we will be getting in terms of our portfolio, and then we can have a bigger picture and we will make the correct financial decision in the next property we buy. So as long as you do not know what you're actually getting into in terms of the property market, my suggestion, do not take action. You do not want to lose money in the biggest purchase of your life. So before we begin, remember to like this video. So first thing first, not knowing your exact financials before you purchase. So we're going to go through an example. Buyer buying $2 million house, 75% loan, $1.5 million. So typically for your down payment will be 25%, out of which 5% will be cash, 20% will be CPF and cash. Any shortfall of CPF, just top up in cash. So let's assume that the buyer is a Singaporean. So your local stamp duty, Singaporean stamp duty, 69,600. So you're going to add up everything, 5% cash, 20% CPF, stamp duty, your legal fees, 3,000, your total down payment, 572,600. So very basic, as long as you have this amount, you can actually purchase the property at $2 million. Of course, if you want to know how much is your monthly installments, you need to have a buffer. All those we can actually calculate when we go into a more detailed calculation next time. So next, buying an underperforming property. So some clients actually purchase a property thinking that, I buy this property in the next 3, 5, 8 years, my property will make money. But the reality of it is that not every single property in Singapore makes money. So let me give you a very, very good example of this. So if we look at this area, the Newton area, where I'm going to shortlist 2 condos. One is 26 Newton here. The other one is Copper at Newton here. Both walking distance to the MRT, both walking distance to the food center as well. So by right, if you think about it, this is quite a central location. If I buy any of the condos around here, near MRT, near good schools, near food, near amenities, by right, they should all make money. Let's look at the figures. So first off, 26 Newton. So if we look at the transactions, if you realize there's a lot of unprofitable transactions in this condo, ranging from about 86,000, 101,000, 111,000. Typically, there are a lot of unprofitable transactions. Essentially, buyers that bought this property 7 years ago, 11 years ago, 5 years ago, all lost money. So why is this so? How do we determine whether a property makes money? Let's look at the next property. Copper at Newton. Very similar area, right? But if you realize, holding period 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, even shorter period, but yet clients made 299,000, 400 plus thousand, 150,000, 400 plus thousand. This condo, a lot of buyers that bought here all made money. What's the main difference between these two condos? So how do we actually determine if a property makes money? So for what I always share with our clients, I always use my 7 success checklists. To find out a bit more about that, I will come up with a separate video for that, so stay tuned for that. But essentially, one of the main issues for these two properties. So I'm just going to give you a bit of context here. So to compare these two properties, 26 at Newton and Copper at Newton. For 26 Newton, it's a freehold property, TOP in 2016. It's made up of 180 units. Not exactly a very big project. But if we look into the units in this condo itself is made up of a majority 1 and 2 bedrooms. A lot of times when we are looking at properties, so these are just 1 or 2 factors that we're actually looking at. But when we're actually comparing these two condos, if a condo has a lot of 1 and 2 bedrooms, typically your buyers will fall into what kind of profiles? Singles, young couples with kids. That's about it. So a lot of times a property like this doesn't really make that much money because this to me is also just a stepping stone for these kind of couples. They might want to upgrade after that, they might not. And the other thing is that the other group of buyers are actually investors. Typically, these are groups that are not going to be willing to pay a lot more because of other reasons. Now, if we look at Copper and Newton, slightly bigger project. This is a 99-year project. Total units 378. So the unit mix, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, all the way to 5 bedrooms. So what are the profiles buying here? Singles, young couples with kids, families with more than 1 kid, families that are staying multi-gen, maybe with their parents as well. So why is this important? Because if you realize, that day I was just talking to one of my friends. As long as you have kids, you always want to spend on them. A lot of times, why people are buying these condos is because of kids. Kids want to enjoy the facilities. They also want to send the kids to the good schools around here. So that's when they're actually willing to pay more. So good schools, of course, is another point that I always share with my clients. If you're looking to exit safely next time to make money in your property, look for good schools around it. So here's a very typical example. Good schools around here, families are attracted to this property and they can actually stay because we have bigger units here. That's why people are willing to buy into this condo, and that's also the reason why a lot of owners have actually made money in this condo. What I always share with our clients as well, how do we determine whether a property is safe and whether a property can potentially make money? For myself, what I always do, I always look at my 7 success checklists for properties. So to find out more about that, I will be doing a separate video the next time. I will be sharing a bit more on this. But if you want to know more immediately, PM me or leave a comment below. I'll get back to you. So buying an underperforming property is always important because if you want to upgrade and your next property and your current property isn't making money, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So typically what I always share, buying is super easy. As long as you got your budget, you close your eyes, you can actually just buy whatever you want to buy. The difficulty comes in exiting. How do we plan a very safe exit strategy for your property portfolio? That's where the difference comes in. The next mistake, not having a proper 10 to 15-year plan in mind. Okay, why do I say this? Because a lot of times, buyers, when they buy their first property, they always tell me, Lyndon, when I buy this property, this will be my forever home. How often have we heard that from our friends as well? More often than not, I would say maybe 60-70% of my clients, especially the young buyers buying their first home, spending 100, 150,000, 200,000 on renovation, always tell me, Lyndon, this is my forever home. 5 years down the road, 8 years down the road, they kind of tell me, hey Lyndon, if I want to upgrade to the next property, what should I look for? The reality of it is that many times, at different stages of our life, we have to move, or we will want to move to a different house, a different location, a different kind of house, a HDB to a condo to a landed, because of different family needs, because of maybe your kids going to schools. Schools will play a part as to, hey, what kind of locations do I want to live in? Especially if you're planning for primary 1, you have to stay at least 6 months in the current house before you can actually go and apply to be within 1 km of that primary school. So of course, there's a lot of different reasons. So at different life stages, expanding families. I want to stay near my parents because they're actually helping us to take care of the kids. I want to stay at a different location because of work. I want to give my kids the luxury of using the condo facilities. That day we were just planning for one of our clients. Oh, I want to sell my landed because the kids want to have a clubhouse, a pool where they can actually invite friends over. There's very different reasons for everyone to really want to move to a different kind of house. So why am I sharing this with you? Because a lot of times when you want to exit and go to your next property, if, for example, you bought your property for $2 million, 6 years, 7 years down the road, your property is still worth $2 million. Or worse, it's worth $1.9 million. Would you want to sell? In majority of cases, clients wouldn't want to sell because they lost money. So they have to put on hold their next plan. Oh, I'm not going to move because my property lost money. Now the thing about it is that if your property, on the other hand, made money, it'll be so much easier to upgrade or to actually change your house. And that's where you can actually go and find out what kind of needs you need as a family, what kind of property you need in terms of maybe a location, or maybe in terms of size. Maybe my in-laws or my parents want to move in together, multi-generation. What we're starting to see a lot more in today's market, multi-generations all staying together. So I've also seen cases where my clients bought their property at 1.9 mil. Today, 4-5 years later, it's only worth $1.8 million. So the thing about it is that in the last 4-5 years, if they actually bought a HDB, they would have actually made more money there. So the thing about it is that if we are actually looking to make money through property, or we are actually looking to swap out our property, in some cases like these cases, they're not going to sell because they lost money. So they're stuck. Essentially, they're stuck for the next few years until market picks up again. So what I always ask my clients at the start of our discovery sessions, which are typically our first sessions that I meet our clients, what is your end goal and what's your end goal objective? Do you want to eventually stay in a landed? Do you want to have multiple properties? Do you want to have 10 million worth of properties by the time you retire? So these are the things that we want to figure out from the start so that we can actually have a 10-15 year plan to try to help them achieve as much of these objectives as possible. So what I can share with you is that in my last 15 years, a lot of my clients that I have helped over the last, over a span of maybe 8 to 10 to 12 years have actually achieved their goals. Some of them even exceeded what we planned for them to achieve in 10 years. So the next mistake, buying with a friend or family member. Have you seen a quote like this before? Want to see how people really are? Wait till money is involved. So in my 15 years in this industry, I've seen so many cases where friends or even siblings buy a property together, and by the end of the relationship or by the end of the transaction, the relationship is soured. So one of the worst cases I saw was two brothers actually buying a landed house together. So they wanted to stay together with their family. So they each have their own family with their wives and their kids. They wanted to move into the same landed house together because they wanted to stay with their parents as well. So it's a multi-generation, all stay in the landed house. By the time I met them, because they wanted to sell, both of them cannot even sit in the same room. So by the time I transact that, and the first time I met them, when I did a presentation with them. I had to meet brother A today. The next night, then I can meet brother B. Because they cannot be in the same room, if not they will start fighting, man. At the end of the transaction, where I need to sign the option to purchase, I had to meet brother A at 5, 6 o'clock. Then the brother B I had to meet at 8, 9 o'clock, so that they are not at the same table. That was how bad it became. To give you some context from what I heard, they were super duper close before buying the landed property. That's actually the reason why they wanted to stay together, because the kids, the cousins were all very close as well. But by the end of the entire transaction, they were arguing with each other like crazy. So if you ask me, I wouldn't really suggest going to a property together, especially with your siblings or friends, because at a lot of times there's very different alignment at different stages of your life. Like just now I mentioned to you, at different stages of your life, you have different wants, different needs. Same thing, even if two brothers are similar age, kids, cousins, all similar age, every family has very, very different needs, different wants at different stages of their life. This also happened to one of my clients, best friends going to the transaction when they buy. Easy to buy. When they want to exit, one of the friends wanted to exit because he wanted to get married and take his name out so he can buy another property with the wife. The property they bought at $1 million. The property value at that time, 4 years later, 1.03. They made $30,000. It wasn't even enough to cover the admin costs, the stamp duties, legal fees, etc. Friend B, what happened? Don't want to sell. So what happened? For 6 months, they were arguing, I want to sell, I don't want to sell, I want to sell, I don't want to sell. One of them bought over the other party so that they can actually move on. But by that time, the relationship was very, very strained. So typically, I wouldn't really advise. The best relationship, of course, to buy together is spouse, husband, wife. To me, that's the easiest way. Any other relationships, of course, these are still rare cases, but we do not want to be put in a position in the event we are like that. Number 5, going into the market blind. Typically, when we're planning for our clients, we always want to go through what the market is. And what I always share is, what are the things to take note of? First, current market conditions, future prices, government control policies and how they are affecting the market, the developer sentiments, future supply, and last but not least, interest rates. So every single time before we actually share with our clients about what to buy and how to plan for that, I always share with them, we look at the market sentiments first. Does it make sense for you to enter the market now? Or should we be waiting maybe another 3 months, 6 months down the road where it might be better for your portfolio? So I'm very straightforward with my clients. If I find that it doesn't make sense for them to enter today, I will tell them very straight, don't enter today, we wait. To me, it's not about making the sale now. It's always about making the correct decision as to what's best for my client's portfolio. To me, that's the most important. So these are all the things that you always need to know before you enter the market. I hope you learned something new in this video. If you found this video useful, feel free to like, share, or subscribe to us. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments. And I'll see everyone again soon. See you!